Okay, I am delighted to welcome Akina to the Sasaga podcast. So Akina, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Akina Xu, and both of my parents are actually Chinese, but I myself was born and raised in Japan. So I call myself Japanese, but when I was little, I was having a very difficult time to find my identities. But after traveling around the world, I realized that I just can be myself and then be an international person. I don't have to decide which country to belong to. So here I am now. I became a digital nomad who travels around the world while working with a laptop. But I used to work at a company for 8 years, so I can't wait to share all my stories with you all.
Oh, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that round the world, your special trip, which we'll be hearing about in a moment, and then also your digital nomading, really exciting stuff. I first want to ask you the question that I love to ask guests, which is, what is your word of the year?
Oh, so my word of the year is bloom, Bloom, which means that I would like to bloom a lot of beautiful flowers. So this year, my word is bloom.
I love that word. That's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, good, really good stuff. So then, in terms of the Sasaga success cycle, and the 4 phases, so around self-care, around create your plan, around communicate your ideas and complete your tasks, what is the one that you would like to share a story with us about?
Yeah, so I would like to share about the phase 3, which is communicate your ideas, like communicating myself. And I would like to talk about like self-branding especially, because within this year, my life has been dramatically changed in a good way. So I would like to talk about that.
All right. Well, does it make sense to start with how it dramatically changed?
Sure. So last year, I quit my work after working at English education field or like publishers for 8 years. And I took my dad to travel around the world with ship. So that's one of the dramatical change for me in my life. And after that, I was being positive need in Japanese. I was just traveling around the world and trying to find myself. And then I met this one guy who I just met him for the first time. I was talking to him like, these are the things that I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. And then he was like, oh, why don't you come to Bali with me? And I was like, okay, I'll just go with you. And we just went to Bali together. And there I went to join CU Asia Conference, which invites a lot of community, co-working, co-living places from the world. And there I met a lot of digital nomads who just brings their own laptop and travel around the world. And I became an ambassador of one of the nomads community abroad. And starting from that, I have a lot of like new changes for the last year. Sorry, it was too long.
It's fine, and there's so many questions I want to ask. I would love to first though go back to the beginning of the story, because I did, so we met through Clubhouse, and you were sharing the story of why the kikkake, why you actually went on this trip with your father. Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah, sure. So I've always loved to travel around the world since, as I have mentioned, that I had hard time to find out my identity. But when I was studying abroad in Hawaii, I just realized that actually how awesome my background is to be a Japanese. So I always wanted to go abroad, but for the past 8 years, while I was working as an employee, I didn't have any chances to go abroad, like even at once. So I always wanted to go abroad. Then on 4 years ago, my mom passed away because of cancer. And before that, I also had big surgeries 2 times in a row. So for the past like 3 years,
You had surgery.
I also had surgery.
I hadn't heard this part of the story. Okay.
I had like big surgeries twice, and then after that, my mom went through all the cancers treatment, but it didn't turn out well. So my mom passed away. Then after having all this like hospital and death experience, I realized that life is too short to regret. And after my mom's death, my dad has been super depressed and couldn't really be someone who would like to live their life anymore. So he was always staying at home and then always text me with very negative words, like he doesn't want to live anymore, or like there's no meaning for him to survive, or like etc. And I was like, oh, I really need to take him out somewhere like outside of his house. And I also wanted to travel around the world. So before I turn into 30, I'm like, okay, I'll quit my work. And then once I got accepted as an interpreter for the SHIP program, it will be for free, totally for free to travel around the world. So I took a challenge to be an interpreter for the SHIP program. Then once I got accepted, I gave him a call and asked him whether he wants to go to travel around the world with me or not. And he actually said no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made him say no?
Yeah. So he was like, because he's having super deep depression, so he couldn't really see himself objectively. So what he was saying that, Akina, like, I don't see any hope for my life, that like I don't want to live anymore. Like I can't even like walk properly, and like I don't even want to do anything. I just want to stay at home. So what I did for him was actually I applied for the program with his name, and I even put my money for him. And then after that, I told my dad that like, hey dad, I already paid for the money for you, so you should come. Like you need to come. So that's how I took my dad with me to travel around the world.
And is this Peace Boat? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's Peace
Right.
Boat.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of great things about Peace Boat. So you can actually, with Peace Boat, you can be a volunteer on it as an interpreter, and then people can pay to join. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So sorry, let me sneeze.
Okay, and so let me, as Akina is blowing her nose. So some of you may be watching the video version of this, but those of you who are listening, you may be wondering what's happening. It's not that she's turned all emotional, and actually it's fine if she does. We have no problem with emotion. It's a good thing. So Akina has hay fever. And just before we started the recording, she was saying, I hope I can get through this. My nose keeps running. So we're all good.
Yeah, so thank you for the explanation. I'm back now. Yeah. So through the Peace Boat, if people are accepted as an interpreter, they don't have to pay for the fee to join this travel around the world for like 100 days, which is about 100만 yen in Japanese.
Okay.
So
Million. 1 million yen.
1 million, yeah. Yen.
$10,000. Yeah.
Yep. Then but like on the ship, you will not also get paid by interpreting the contents. So it's kind of like volunteer, but at the same time, you don't have to pay for the fee. Yep.
That is great. So what happened then? So your father went on the trip around the world, and how was it?
It was actually awesome because because on the ship, like in total, we had almost 1,100 passengers, and 30% of them are from Taiwan and mainland China and Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, 70% of them are mostly from Japan, but there are also some people joining from United States and Thailand and Singapore. So it was definitely very like diversity. And my dad made actually a lot of friends on the boat. Yeah. So yeah, because he is also currently working for the company in Taiwan. So he made a lot of new Taiwanese friends, and through the trip, actually younger generation of Taiwanese people invited my dad to go to the like Spain trip besides the like ship program. Like there is also like a like flight program, which is they will depart the ship for a while and then they go their own trip and then come back to the ship again. So that was really fantastic for him.
Oh, that's so great. So
Yeah.
that worked out very well.
Yeah, like he always said like, oh, like I'm not a social person, like I don't like talking, but like when he met so many new people, he started chatting. I was like, oh.
That is so wonderful. I
Yeah.
love, you know, when I heard you on Clubhouse, I'm like, I have to hear this story, and we this as the podcast listeners. So let's go back to your story, because I know that you said that you had some struggles that you wanted to share, because hopefully that can be an inspiration to our listeners and viewers. So please go ahead and share your struggles with us.
Yeah, struggles. When I was late 20s, I had surgery for 2 times. And after having a surgery, I needed to use a wheelchair to commute to the company. And that was really tough at that time, because even though I was working as an editor and I knew that I could do that as a remote worker, like I could work from the home. But at that time, the company didn't allow me to do so. So even it was like raining, I need to find a taxi and then go to work with the wheelchair and with the scratch. And that was definitely one of the hard moments for me. So with that experience, that's why like I really wanted to be a digital nomad, like the remote worker who can just, go anywhere you want and then work anytime you want. So that's one of the struggle that I faced. And the next hardest struggle was definitely my mom's cancer. Yeah, for the very last 1 month, I took a month off from the company, and I and my dad spent time with my mom. But every day, her condition is becoming weaker and weaker, and yeah, so I was still like 20s at that time. So a lot of my friends are having fun or having a party or like, enjoying their 20s. But like in my late 20s, I had a lot of struggles, and I needed to go through all this, struggles.
What
Yeah.
makes you say that you needed to go through them?
Well, because I feel at that time I didn't realize that everything happened for the reason. Back then I was just need to um, deal with what's happening to me. For example, like surgery, I didn't want to do that, but I had to. So I had like 20 centimeters like scar on my left thigh still because of the surgery. And but every time I look at it, I feel like it's a proof that I overcame all the difficulties with my mom. So but at that time I didn't realize it's I even thought it's super, like ugly to have this scar. And even I really hated my like destiny at that time. Like a lot of my friends are having fun, but like nobody would understand what's going on with me. And I feel like I'm too young to lose my mom. But so yeah, so all these struggles.
And what what have you learned from
Mm,
those struggles in your late 20s?
yeah. So what I learned from my surgery and my mom's death, I like truly realized that life is too short to regret. Like you really only live once. And that's why I had like courage to leave the company, and I could travel around the world with my dad. If I didn't have all those struggles, I don't think I became who I am right now. So right now, I really appreciate what happened to me. But at that time, I was really hating my destiny.
Right. And it's always the case. Like I hear these kind of stories and I've experienced these kind of things myself. When you're going through it at the time, it's just horrible.
Yeah,
Then you realize that if you hadn't gone through it, you wouldn't be the person you are today. So
yeah.
yeah, I love that.
And also I learned that there is no failure actually in the life. You just experienced it, and it's not a failure. And if you tried something new, you might think something went wrong or went not so good. You might think it's an failure, but it's not even a failure because you tried it, and that's why you experience something new. And you can always talk about it as a new topic, so it's not going to be failure at all.
Right. They always make the interesting stories, right?
Yeah.
What about does that relate in any way to what you mentioned communication as something you wanted to talk about? Is that connected in any way?
Yeah. So I realized that life is too short to regret. So finally, I could take the first step to be out of the company, and I could finally achieve the lifestyle that I always wanted to have. And it was very important to communicate with myself, like listen to my inner voice rather than listening to what others expect on you or what other people talk to you. And because before I quit my work, a lot of people told me it's such a waste to leave the company because you have built this career and you graduated from this good university, and once you quit the company you will lose all the trust and you will just waste all of your career. And a lot of people told me so,
Yeah.
but I always ask myself, like Steve Jobs said, like whenever you look at yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, what if today were the last day? What would you like to do? And then if you keep saying no to yourself, then it's time to change. And I always look myself in my mirror and then ask the same question to me. And always the answer was that I would love to go travel around the world. And back then, I also took a look at some my seniors at company 5 years later or 10 years later, like who I would like to be in the company. And there was no one actually I wanted to be honest. So I was like, maybe this is not the right place for me to stay here anymore. And yeah, so I always try to communicate with myself and then asking myself what I want to do. And um, even though I asked so many people advice, but through that I learned we need to ask someone who has already experienced with what I want to. For example, if I listen to the someone who has only experience working at company, they will definitely tell you that it's such a waste because they never had experience to quit the work and then travel around the world. So I try to find someone who has already achieved my dream or goal and try to find those like-minded people and ask them for the advice, and that helped me a lot.
Yeah, this is so related to a recent guest, Manami Sasaki, or Sasaki Manami, if you want to put it the Japanese way around. And she was talking about how, she wants to do what she enjoys in life, and people are going to criticize that, but it's about listening to your inner voice, as you just said. And also when people are criticizing, it's their fear, and it's if they haven't actually gone through the experience of the thing that you're talking about, that's just because they have some fear about it. So I love that you really clarify that if you're going to ask for advice, talk with people who have actually gone the path that you are thinking of. Otherwise it's pointless. Don't listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. But at that time, I didn't know. I just, randomly asked all my friends about their opinions. And I was super overwhelmed with all the different opinions. And I was also super confused with like different opinions coming from different people. And I was trying to focus in on what I really want to. And realize like I should talk to someone who has already achieved my dream. So that makes more sense.
That is so great.
Yeah.
So I would love to just oh wait, I'm just thinking of the different things I want to ask you about. Let's go here, if it's all right with you. Just a few quick questions. And then I know that you do have something that you definitely want to share with your listeners and viewers. So I want to save that till the end. And also anything else that you want to share as well. So just a few quick questions. All right, so this one just came to my mind from your travels around the world. And these can be just quick answers, just simple answers. From your travels around the world, which food did you like the best?
Well, actually, Japanese food.
Really?
So, sorry, like this might not be a quick answer, but a lot of people have asked me which country was the best for you, like which food was the best for you. But I always tell them that actually, after traveling all around the world, I realize it's exactly the same as human beings. So there is no perfect country, and there is no perfect human being. And depends on what you like. For example, food. I realize I really love Vietnamese and Japanese food and Greek food. But in terms of people, I love Arabic and Central Pacific, no, Central Caribbean area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Central America, like because they have really close like close communication, and I really loved it. But in terms of weather, I loved Australia and Mediterranean area. So it depends on the field. I feel like, oh, I like these countries, but it totally depends on what you like. Also, there's no perfect country.
I love that. What about favorite quote? Do you have a favorite quote?
Quote? Oh, I have a lot, but my favorite quote is "Being different is beautiful."
Oh, who's that? Is that by someone in particular, or?
I think one of the Japanese poemer. Her name is Misuzu Kaneko.
Okay.
Yeah, her quote in Japanese is "minna chigatte minna ii." And I always think being different is very beautiful because each of us has unique point and strength and weakness. So we should not compare ourselves with others and just being ourselves. And that's already like beautiful enough.
That is great. And it's so significant that that's by a Japanese woman.
Yeah.
Because, there's so much in Japanese society of being the same. Like everyone needs to be the same. So I love that message of to be different and be beautiful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What advice would you give to yourself when you're going through those hard times?
Well, for now, I feel as I have mentioned before, I feel like there's no failure. So like you should go try whatever you would like to, because everything will be your experience. And even though you think you fail, it's gonna be a like funny story to talk about it in later time. So just go for it.
I love that. All right, so tell us just in the last few minutes as we're about to wrap up, the most important part of our conversation today is your exciting news. So please tell us what's coming up.
Yes, so I am going to publish a picture book.
Yay! And for those who are watching the YouTube version of this, you can see it. And if you can't see it, we'll post it on social media. Please tell us the name of the book.
Yeah, so the name of the book is ほとんど世界一周 Travel Around the World with That. And it's a picture book, and it's about like 30 pages, but it's more about like how you would like to live your life. And I want readers to feel like I would like to encourage readers to live their own lives after reading this book. So yeah, this is the picture book.
That's brilliant. And where can people get hold of the book?
So I will be publishing this book on 20th of March. And from 22nd of March till 26th of March, I'm thinking of posting this on Kindle as an electric book first. And within those 5 days, I'm thinking of making it for free to distribute a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, this is great because I believe that this podcast episode will be released on the 22nd. So for people listening, go and look on, we'll put the links as well in the show notes, but go look.
Definitely.
Be able to get it for free right now.
Yeah, just for 5 days. But like once, my goal is to get Amazon #1 for the picture book field, which not many people have achieved, because usually Kindle has only letters book, not a picture book. And a lot of people told me like, why you're posting this on Kindle? No one has really had that experience. But I was like, well, since nobody has done it, so I'll do it.
I love that attitude. That's brilliant. That means it's an opportunity. Okay, great. So count me as a reader. I'm going to be downloading that, definitely. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. And I encourage, I'm speaking to you, dear listener, and to those of you watching, dear viewer, let's help Akina to achieve her dream of being #1 in the, what do you call it, in illustrated books.
Yep.
Hey, let's make it happen. Yeah. All right, as we're wrapping up, anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners and viewers today, Akina?
Yeah. Well, when I was an employee, I also was super afraid of taking the first step to be outside of company and having a sort of like unstable life. But I didn't have any regret of quitting company. So whoever are aspiring to be a digital nomad or being a remote worker or being the ideal person, then don't be afraid to take the first step, because once you're out, you will see actually more beautiful world waiting for you. So yeah, I'm hoping that people who would like to design their lifestyle just go for it, because we only live once.
Definitely. And once you start to do that sort of thing, you find more and more like-minded people as well, and you can, supporting each other as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, Akina, it has been such a pleasure. I'm so happy because when I saw you on, in fact, I think I mentioned this did I mention this on the podcast a few episodes ago? And I said, I heard someone on Clubhouse and I'm going to invite them. She doesn't know yet, but I'm going to invite her to be on the show. That was you.
very honored.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Listeners, I'll talk a little bit in the outro as well. Definitely go look at the show notes. Get your book and let's support Akina to be #1. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.